we're talking today about the 7 best list. If you're not doing probates in 2024, you're missing the boat. If you let 2023 go by and you never touch the probates, I want you to learn a lesson from it. And I want you to understand this. Probates are easy, they're simple, and you could work 2 full-time jobs and easily run the probates. How do I know this? Because I went my first 7 years of wholesaling and I didn't touch probates. You know why I didn't touch probates? Way too much ego. I don't want to deal with people that have passed away. I'm an ambulance chaser. I'm above that. And guess what? I missed out on a lot of money. Now, going forward, I've more than made up with it. And I want to teach you the same skill set. You see, most people run from probates, A, because they don't know how to do them. B, they don't have the confidence to close the transaction. And C, they just don't even know how to market to them. And they don't know the legal proceedings on it. And I'm here to tell you, if you want to be a wholesaler, your job is to locate motivated sellers. Understand this. You don't need to know everything about probates. Honestly, the less you know, usually the better off you're on that. Let me repeat that. The less you know about probates, the better you're going to do. You just have to find a way to connect with them. If you go over to freewholesaling.com, I actually give you the probate template letter and you can use it. I encourage you to mix it up a little bit so we're all not using the same letter. But if probates are 3 times profitable your average wholesaling deal, they're much easier to sell and you get a much higher price. Why isn't everybody doing it? The reality is most people do it for 3 or 4 weeks. They go, Rick, I didn't get a deal. I'm not going to do it anymore. And I rely on that in my local markets because the reality is probates, you don't get one every month. Let me repeat this. You don't get one every month. You get leads, they don't work out, but when you get it, it more than makes up for the lack of deals you've done in probates. Honestly, I've had one deal make me $110,000 from a single family house, not a commercial. It wasn't even that expensive of a house. Why? Because the motivation was so high. They didn't want the property, had a lot of problems, and it was in a perfect area. How do you find these? You simply mail them a letter and do what we call a warm call. If you want to learn more how to do it, go over to freewholesaling.com. Guys, I love probates. They're kind of easy. Like if you go work 2 full-time jobs because they call you when they're ready, and then you just got to learn how to talk to them. And I teach you all on how to do it. My son's gone into it. My son was doing this when he was 17 years old. And yes, they had a problem with his age, but like I taught him how to get through it and how to help people solve their problems. And once they knew he was there to help them, it was easy. So if you're not doing probates, guys, please, my God, jump on it right away. Okay. Next one, code violations. To be honest with you, this was my bread and butter when I started out in wholesaling back in 2003. That's crazy, 21 years ago. Why? Because once again, it is the highest motivation. Nobody chooses or wants to be on this list. And if you don't know what a code violation is, it's simply the city has codes to keep property values up. Basically, it requires you to cut the grass. It can't get more than 12 inches high. You have to paint your house if it's getting ugly. You can't board up the windows forever. And if you got a blue tarp on the roof, you got to take it off. So which violations do I approach the most? Any type of landscaping, overgrown grass, anything like that, dead grass. Pool violations. My God, that's a big one. When people let their pools go, especially in the South, particularly in Florida, they turn green. Once I have a green pool, I have a great opportunity. Once a pool turns green, if you leave it more than a week, the pool, it's like a rotting cavity in your mouth. It eats the, I guess called the marcite, and it will dissolve it. And sometimes it'll even get down to the gunite. Why? Because the water is so acidic from all the animals and the organisms. And that's why everyone chemicals a pool. That's why it looks so beautiful. It doesn't stay that way naturally, and you have to keep it up. Why do people let their houses go south? You tell me, because people are living in the matrix. Most people can't afford these houses. And when they run out of money or they lose a job, they get stuck, and you still have to pay the pool guy, or you have to go get the chemicals yourself and keep it going. I love code violations, guys, because they don't stop coming. They keep coming. And you only have to get this list, in my opinion, once every 90 days. Now, is getting the code violation list fun? No, it's not. It's actually brutal. And you'd think it being free would be much easier. The reality is you're going to get resistance. To overcome this resistance, you must use persistence. I didn't say be nasty. I didn't say be aggressive. Honestly, guys, if you can just learn to use your vocabulary and talk to people and engage them, you can get whatever you want in life. You know those people that run you over for everything and like they're constantly screaming? They're terrible wholesalers. You cannot scream and attack people and make people do stuff in wholesaling. It never works. Why? I've watched thousands and thousands of wholesalers come in and out of this business because they think they can run people over. You can't. Okay. My next one, God knows I love eviction. Now, thank God I've never been evicted. I've been lucky enough. I've been close when I was younger. I was always sweating the rent. But the reality, these are landlords that have people that are a problem, and they're either not paying the rent or they've caused damage to the house or they want to get them out. Maybe it needs to get sold. It doesn't matter why. Here's the key distinguishing difference with evictions that I'm going to share with you on why we have so much success with them and why a lot of people don't. You need to find the right type of landlord. Now, let me give you an example. If a landlord owns 200 homes and they have a property manager or he or she's evicting themselves, I don't even bother with them. Why? They're not interested. They're not going to sell to a wholesaler. They don't care. You could burn the building down. They still would never sell to you. Why? Because they're professional landlords. They're always going to do something with the property. Now, here's the one I'm really looking for. My favorite one. You ready? Somebody buys a property in their individual name, which means they're not a professional landlord. If you were ever going to own a rental property, owning it in your own name is one of the riskiest things you can ever do, because the minute there's an accident or an issue on the property, you are named in the lawsuit and you're going to risk everything you own, period. So this is why people move them into corporations, LLCs. So when I see that, I already know they have no idea what they're doing. And number two, I'm looking for someone that owns 4 or less houses. Why? Because I got 21 years of data to tell me people own 4 or less houses. They're typically not professional landlords that own it in their own name, and they have no idea what they're doing. And guys, I've been this person before. When I was young in wholesaling, I owned a portfolio of just under 30 homes myself, and I hated it. I didn't know how to manage it. I tried to handle everything myself, and it just got me so fed up that I sold some of the properties because I was evicting people, and that's how I found the list. And I'm here to tell you, the eviction list has honestly, some of the best motivation. So if you hit that tired landlord that has 4 or less houses, that owns it in their own personal name, and the place is trashed, the rent stopped, and they have to decide what they want to do, that is the time they're going to cut and run. And I've cut and run on a lot of houses in my life. I have been a motivated seller. At some point, we've all been a motivated seller, and we've all been on the wholesaling side. So once you can walk a mile in someone's shoes, you understand how they think. I know how these landlords think. And I sit and I've met with so many. And whenever I try to buy a house from a guy that's got 100 houses, he usually sucks all my time and they never do a deal with you and they ghost you. So if you have someone that's got 4 houses or less in their own personal name, say, listen, which house is it you want to sell? Which is your biggest problem child? Let me take a look at it and see if we can come to an agreement. It's just that simple. So once I stopped chasing the professional landlords, that list got extremely attractive to me. And I want to let you know. Now, it could be a little bit different in some of your local markets. So you have to kind of give it a little play with it, but take a look at it. And remember, all real estate is localized, so you might find some changes. But I will tell you, it is an excellent sign when you're dealing with the eviction list. When an individual owns it and they have 4 or less houses, you're in the right area. Because I'm so tired of professional landlords. They love to use wholesalers' contracts and leverage to get the highest price. And they have no problem calling 15 or 20 wholesalers. And they don't really lie to you, but they don't tell you more than you need to know. And that's where you get in trouble as a newbie. And that's what you want to watch out for. So use that little tip in their own name, 4 houses or less. And I think you guys will do really, really well with it. So guys, I love the comments, the questions. You know how I operate this, dude. I shoot this solo. So Zach is off today doing some things, as he should be. And so if you have a question, put it in there, and I promise you I will do my best to get back to it. Now, you can't go without talking about pre-foreclosures. I would never skip pre-foreclosures. A lot of people, oh, they're difficult. They are. Listen, they're not the easiest thing in the world. But let's face it, guys. What am I talking about? We're talking about the fundamentals of wholesaling. What's the one fundamental that you have to get a great wholesaling deal? You have to have motivation. And if you don't have motivation, you're just a overpriced fancy realtor. I'm sorry. I meet so many people in the wholesaling space that go, Rick, oh my God, I want to do this. And like sometimes they start showing me deals they have. And I go, listen, stop just finding houses for sale, find motivated sellers and see if you can connect with them to buy their house. That's the key difference I do with most people, because Anybody can buy a house at a discount. It's not hard to do. To get the discount levels we need as a wholesaler, you have to have some form of motivation, either in the seller themselves or the property itself, or hopefully both, because to get a deep discount, you can't go on MLS and expect to have huge success right off the bat. So pre-foreclosures, here's the really good news about this list. It's free. It's extremely public. There should be zero resistance. This list, you should be easily be able to get offline. And I'll share what my favorite technique is to market to people on this list. You ready for this? My favorite technique is a little strategy called reverse driving for dollars. And that's simply so if I got 50 people on the foreclosure list, hopefully you got them all in the same county. You come up with a route to drive it. You can use Deal Machine, dmzack.com. One of the best ways to do it, or you can do it on your own. Just got to organize it. And then you just sequentially, in the most logistical order, go in and just put a note on the door. And you can pre-write the notes in your home or in the comfort of your home office and just say, listen, I got a quick question about your house. It's Rick, and just put on your virtual phone number. I put out 50, maybe 8 people call me back. From those 8 people, I meet with 4. From that, I might get a contract or 2. What did I do? I just avoided 42 painful conversations. And I don't know about you guys, it's really hard to get past the Ring cameras. Nobody wants to answer their front door. And we're in a society where, like, it's shocking. I remember when I was like a little kid, it was really exciting when somebody rang the doorbell. Now it's like, who did you guys invite over? That's what, like, every time we say it, we have a running joke in our family. So I like pre-foreclosures because these are people that got behind on their bank payments. And then the bank is basically initiating a foreclosure action. And the foreclosure is to get the house sold. They have to prove it in court, and then they sell it at auction. That's why you have the word pre-foreclosure. Foreclosure is when it goes to auction and gets sold. Here's the secret with pre-foreclosures, and you got to understand that. You got to catch them early. The earlier you catch them, especially as a newer wholesaler, the more options they have, the more options you have as the wholesaler, and it creates a better situation because you can usually give them some money, you can provide them some assistance with moving, and it's a huge win. But the biggest problem you're going to have with pre-foreclosures is it is huge procrastinators, and you have to try to catch them within the first 4 months. 4 months is the key. Once they get past 4 months, they will wait till the final auction date, and they will call you a week, maybe even 30 days for the auction. And the reality, as a new wholesaler, you're not going to have the tools, the network, and the people to help you stop that sale because it's going to require legal action. You're going to have to reach out and find the trustee handling it. And honestly, if you don't have experience doing it, it's very taxing. And most lawyers are going to charge you to do it. And let's face it, these homeowners don't have any money. You don't want to pay it out of pocket as the wholesaler. How do you prevent this? In pre-foreclosure, if you can catch them in that first 4 months, you can give them their dignity. You can let them move out on their time. And most importantly, you can save off the foreclosure, save their credit, and give them the dignity to move when they want to. Now, if they wait till the end, they usually call you panicked. And at that time, I usually say, listen, I can try. It's $1,500. I'll hire you a lawyer. Because keep in mind, the entire court process, they ignored all the hearings. They didn't do anything. They get a final judgment. And judges aren't crazy about stop. Now, they'll delay a foreclosure sale, but it's much more powerful when it comes from an attorney than someone like me. So I do have the ability to call and do that. I knew the techniques, but honestly, it's advanced, and I would not teach it in a freewholesaling.com because honestly, I'm just trying to get you guys started. And you don't need to know everything. Keep that in mind. You just need to get started. So start with the pre-foreclosures. You can download them online. You have an address, reverse driving for dollars, and go out there. I started out doing code violations and knocking on doors of pre-foreclosures. And I got to be honest with you, it really toughened me up as a wholesaler. I got rid of my excuses real quick because I worked for a guy. He would give me 50 foreclosures. I had to go knock on 50 doors. And I think I knocked on 200 doors before I even got my first appointment. And then I actually wound up getting a contract from that. And from there, I like, man, it works. So I like reverse driving for dollars because in my opinion, it's much more effective. So keep that in mind. Now, let's talk about, I did some bonus ones on here. Let's not overlook one of the basics, the fundamentals of wholesaling, because today I'm all about fundamentals. In 2024, if you don't master anything, master the fundamentals of wholesaling, because all these bells and whistles everyone's going to throw at you. I've got this special software. I have this AI that'll do this for you. Listen, I'm all about anything that's going to help you out, but it's not going to go and close your sellers. As you know how marketing works, like, oh my God, we're going to have AI call your list. They're going to qualify them, and then they're going to negotiate a contract with me. No way, dude. Not in 2024. It ain't going to happen. I love to use AI to help gather marketing list, but the reality is you and you only, the wholesaler, is the one that has to be to close them. Once you get really good, you can hire other people, but in the beginning, you need to go out there and get it. So let's talk about driving for dollars. I told you I didn't do a priority on this list. I'm here to driving for dollars it solves so many problems for the wholesaler. It gives you quantity, it gives you instant leads. And here's the difference. Do you want a lead of 10,000 prospects from, whatever type of list you get? Or would you rather have 300 people you got off a driving for dollars list? Honestly, I would pay more for if you, a wholesaler, brought me a list of 300 challenged houses versus a 10,000 list. I don't have any idea about it. Why? Because the 300, I can probably find a deal pretty quickly in there because I've visually seen it, or you saw it and we partnered up together on it, and you know what's going on with the property and you know there's a pending issue. As opposed to the 10,000, might take me a couple weeks to get through it. And then between all the follow-up, only then somebody goes out and looks at the house. With driving for dollars, you've already solved two problems in one shot. And that's why, guys, a lot of times early in my career, when my company struggled with leads, I had everybody, when I had an office, and I don't recommend getting an office, especially when you start out. That's when you figure out the business, you can grow with it. I sent everybody out with a pad of paper and a pen, and they had to go out and get driving for dollar leads. And we would get not hundreds, guys, thousands. So every person usually came in with 150 to 200 leads, and then we broke it up in zones, and it overcame a lot of our lead issues. In fact, we dedicated a day just to do it. Now, to this day, sometimes when things aren't going the way they want, I just go out. We just do driving for dollars day, and we make it random. It's fun. People like to get out and do things, but for the most part, you need to go out and do the driving for dollars. Why? Because it works. And once you can put a visual and you see like a house that looks crappy, it's got issues, keep in mind that seller did not choose to be in that situation 9 times out of 10. It's just life handed this to them. And if they can't fix it and they need help with you fixing the problem, that's where it comes in. And that's why I love driving for dollars. And a lot of people are like, oh, you're driving for dollars, you don't really pay. That's right. It's free, but you got to go spend a lot of time and energy. If you use Deal Machine, I love using Deal Machine. It's a great logistical thing. I begged my entire career to have something like the Deal Machine app, the dmzack.com. And of course, now you do it now that I'm not doing the driving for dollars. It saves so much time and so much money. It's ridiculous. Now, I want to share with you a list. This isn't necessarily a free list, but your high equity list. And why do I say this? Because I've been doing high equity for 20 years plus. It works. It is a catch-all list. It's more like the big 10,000 piece list, and you got to work through it. But if you're doing SMS texting, you're doing cold calling, or it's definitely if you're doing direct mail, you have to rely on this list. Why? Because it works. Here's the special part. You've got to have the right filters for it. Now, I put the word secret in there to see if anyone's paying attention, because they go, Rick, I thought you said there's no secrets. There's not. I'm just trying to trick you and pay attention, guys. Anyone comes and go, I have a secret in wholesaling and only I have it. And if you pay me, I'm going to give it to you. So here's what I'm going to do. If you want to know my exact secret filters I use, which I make extremely transparent, and every guru downloads, every coach downloads and teaches to their own. And I'm fine with that because I have influence in the marketplace and I want to help people out. And honestly, I want to help out anyone that's going to help anyone be successful in wholesaling. No matter what I think about anybody else in the business, if you're helping somebody wholesaling and they're making progress and you're helping them, I applaud you. But that's not always the case. And we know that. So I want you to understand that. So going into it, I want you to understand high equity filter. The high equity, you got to know the right filters to use, because a lot of people for the longest time, I'm here to tell you, and anyone wants to comment on this, I would love to get your feedback on it. There was this secret filter. It ran for about 4 or 5 years. I want to say it started in 2015, maybe 2014, and went through 2020. And everyone said it's the unknown equity is the secret gold in the high equity list. It's all BS when it all boiled down to it. Nobody ever proved the data. So if you have the ability inside of, you can do it prop stream, you can do it in batch. You can actually click a button that says unknown equity. And all that means is they don't have all the data for that house, and if they put it in an unknown category because it's data. And their thought is, well, these are secret sellers that nobody else knows about because nobody's marketing to them. It's a lie, dude. It was never approved. It's ridiculous. Guys, honestly, it was a big sales scam. The unknown equity filters, because I've tested it out over 5 years plus, we have no more deals with unknown equity filter and without it. I've tested it. I've split tested it. And nobody to this day can show me any data that proves otherwise. Why? Because it's a random category. I think people do it for the shock effect. The only time you click the unknown equity filter is when you need more leads for a certain area. Now, unfortunately, I have to click it because I only have so many leads I can work, and I've been doing this 20 plus years. I need it. Guys, you guys don't, because I just don't think there's no proven data that shows it works. So don't fall for that secret equity filter of unknown equity, because all I did was hear it hyped up for 5 years and nobody ever proved it. And here's the funny thing is nobody even talks about it anymore, which means it doesn't work. So it worked to sell courses. So there's no secrets. I want to catch you. If you ever catch me or Zach saying, I got a secret for you, it ain't coming from our mouth. So I'm trying to train you in advance. There are no secrets in wholesaling. This wholesaling has been around over 200 years. Everybody thinks it's been invented in the last 5 years. The only reason you guys think that is because influencers have come out of the woodworks everywhere, and everybody wants to teach you how to do it. So you know my rules on people teaching it. Show me 10 years of a proven track record, because you know they're going to stay around and help you if you need it. So high equity, go over to freewholesaling.com. I show you the filters, like step by step, the exact filters. I don't hold back. Why? Because I want every other guru, every other influencer just to share this information, because I've been doing this for 20 plus years. It's not rocket science, guys. And you can vary it up depending. So when I didn't have a lot of money, I made the filters much tighter. And when I had a lot more money, I opened up the filters because I wanted a ton of leads. And you all are in different phases of starting out your wholesaling career. And I want you to truly understand that. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you one bonus list. And I just put it up here. It's garage sale list. And guys, so I'm going to give you a quick crash course on this. Don't worry, this is recorded. It's a really cool list. I learned this years back. And basically, I don't want you to go to garage sales. You're not going to do like the Gary Vee thing, which honestly is a good skill set to learn how to flip stuff. But we want you to wholesale contracts, because that's where you make the most amount of money, as opposed to trying to flip Pokemon cards at a garage sale. But get your list of garage sales. You can go to Facebook Marketplace. You can go to your county website. You can go to Craigslist, and then get that list. And from that list, there should be an address on when the garage sale is coming up. Cross-reference that address and look up the property owner, and you're looking for an absentee owner. This means they're just a landlord. And how they distinguish this is real simple. They have a different mailing address than the property address. So the property address where the garage sale is, the mailing address is where the landlord lives or gets their bills in the mail. Once I find an absentee landlord, that's the key here. You don't want someone that lives there, because that's a legitimate garage sale. I'm basically going to reach out. I'm going to skip trace and get their information, and I'm going to call them. I'm going to say, hey, listen, I see you have a garage sale. Would you be interested in selling the house? They usually go, what are you talking about? If you can catch them with like a midnight mover or anything like that, the bottom line is there's motivation, because there is a tenant moving out either by force. A lot of times, especially this time of year, they do what they call the midnight move outs, and they have quick garage sales. So if you befriend the landlord, you give them vital information that nobody else has shared with them. If they decide to sell that property, and there's a high chance that you can get a deal, because it's going to be vacant. It's most likely going to be trash, and there's going to be no cash flow on the property. This is the perfect opportunity to reach out to these people. It's a small list. It's extremely easy to manage. You don't go to garage sales. Now, I used to mail back to them in the day. Like now, I would definitely cold call them for speed and go through it. Here's a tip. Avoid the people that do chronic garage sales. They're not your customer. If they pop up every week on your list, take them off. And then eventually there is a correlation. Think about whenever you had a garage sale, you had a change of events in your life. You needed to make space for somebody moving in, or you were moving out. And why not use the clues and go ahead and take advantage of this list? It's actually a really simple list. It's not complicated. I've done this for years. We still do it. We don't do it nearly as much as we only do this in our local markets, but you could do this virtually really, really easy. Now, you can train a VA on how to scrape this list and put it all together for you if you don't want to do it yourself. It's really not that hard, but keep that in mind, and that will work out for you very well. I love the garage sale list. It's so unique. I don't hear anybody else talking about it. Everybody wants to charge everything that we can do.